Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, our Hobbit's reading list, and this week we're doing something a little different. I'm on vacation this week, and so this will be a travel vlog as well as a reading vlog. I'm going to try to read, but we'll see what I'm able to accomplish. So we left at like 6:30 this morning. We didn't need to, but we were so worried about like how busy it was going to be at the airport that we left super early. So we got to the airport for our flight super early. But I still only read while we were on the plane. So I started reading The Boston Girl by Anita Diamant, and I think I'm about 100 pages in. I have read this book before, but it was at least 5 years ago. So a lot of the finer details have been lost. And oh, you can see my glasses mark. I've been wearing my glasses all day, which honestly, like, I don't wear them that often, so I think they were drying my eyes out, and so I'm kind of cranky, to be quite honest. And I'm also hungry because I've not eaten since 9 a.m. and it's like 5 now. But anyway, so The Boston Girl is about this girl from Boston. Her name is Addie, and her parents immigrated, and you can see the people that I'm with just in the background, which I find really funny. And so it's all about Addie sort of like growing up. She's at the beginning of the story, she's like 15. I'm now at the part where she's like 16, and it's just about being a teenager and dealing with like family issues. I'm really enjoying it, and I am trying to come up with like book club questions, so we will see if I'm able to read more. I think I will be able to, because it's raining here, and so some of our plans might have to change, and it's probably gonna rain like most of the week, which is kind of a bummer, but I kind of like it, so we'll see what happens. Hi everyone. Today we went into Gloucester to go to breakfast and then go to Hanlon Castle, which you would have seen already. Hanlon Castle is really cool, and the guy who built it, John Hammond Jr., was quite a prankster, and he had a really interesting life. I'm kind of bummed that I haven't been able to find like a biography about him, especially because the tour guide that we had told us that he had also been in a like polyamorous queer polycule with his wife. And when I asked if there was any like books that mentioned that in the museum gift shop, they kind of implied that the
Oh.
Who did you think I was talking to?
I don't know. Sorry.
That was my dad. Check out his YouTube page. It's one eye on the page. But anyway, the tour guide sort of implied that like, while it's known amongst the tour guides, it's not something they're allowed to talk about on the official tour. And so they talked to us about it afterwards. But they said that because of that, that there are some members on the board that didn't want like acknowledgement of that. So I have to do some searching because I thought it was really interesting. But after we went to Hanlon Castle, we went back into town and went to 2 bookstores in Gloucester. The sale that we were supposed to go on today got canceled because of the weather, because it's pretty rainy and it's kind of cold. So it's not exactly like vacation weather, but that's okay. But because I went to bookstores, of course I bought books. Like, Of course I did. So I went to the bookstore of Gloucester and got 3 books. When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. Someone read this recently. Another booktuber. I want to say it was Allison Paiges, like maybe a couple months ago. But I've heard of this book, and it seemed really interesting. And it's pretty much about how, like, in 1955, like, a certain portion of women in the world suddenly, like, turned into dragons. And so it's about womanhood and women's rage and the limitations that women experience. And so I thought it sounded really interesting, and I know that it was recently reviewed by someone that I really respect. I think it was Allison Paiges. I'm not positive, but I had to check it out. My dad pointed out The Women's House of Detention by Hugh Ryan. So this is about a women's prison that was in the Village in New York City, and how the author points out how it impacted queerness sort of in the world. And like that's all I got from the blurb. Obviously I haven't read it, don't know when I'm going to read it, but it seemed really, really interesting, and a piece of, you know, history, especially queer history, that I didn't know about. I had no idea about, so of course I had to pick it up. I also found The People and the Books by Adam Kirsch. So from what I can tell, this is a commentary on 18 Jewish classics. Classics as in like classic commentaries on the Torah and the Talmud. And so this honestly was the only Jewish book that I saw in the bookstore of Gloucester. So I figured I had to pick it up, because I will always support buying Jewish things in places. And it actually had a pretty good rating on Storygraph, because I did look it up because I've never heard of it before. And it had like a 4.38, which I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. I'm sorry if I keep looking out the window. There's this like random car that just stopped in front of our house, and I'm confused. Especially because like we're at an Airbnb. So, but they're just hanging out there. I don't know if they're lost or... Anyway. So after we went to the bookstore of Gloucester, we walked down the street to Dogtown Books. And it's a used bookstore, and I don't fare as well with used bookstores, just because I find it harder to find books that I'm interested in. I love used bookstores, but I feel like I need to be able to be there for like hours to feel satisfied. And my dad goes through bookstores faster than I do, and Chris does not like going to bookstores, so didn't have as much time as I would like. But I did see Swimming to the Top of the Tide by Patricia Hanlon, and this is about Patricia. Her and her husband lived on the Great Marsh, which is like this continuous stretch of like where freshwater meets ocean water. And they decide, when their kids grow up and they leave, like they decide to swim in the Great Marsh every day. And so this is sort of her reflections on that, and it seemed really interesting. And for some reason, whatever happens when I come out here, I get very into ocean conservation, which I think makes sense, and I would like to actually like look into it and how to actually contribute more. So I thought that would be a sort of a good start. But I don't know what we're planning to do for the rest of the day, because like I said, our sale got canceled. So I think we're just gonna wander around Rockport for a bit. So I will check in with you guys later. Good morning, everyone. So I didn't film a clip yesterday because we went to Salem, and by the time that we got back, I was very tired. Like, I ended up passing out on the couch at like 7 o'clock, which is 6 o'clock my time. So, I did buy some books though. I've not read. I'll just own up to that. I stumbled on this like fanfic that I'm really into, and I've been reading that pretty much every spare moment while my dad has been doing the responsible thing and like reading anytime we have like downtime, or like when I'm driving, he'll, you know, start reading. But I can't do that obviously because I'm driving. And plus I've talked before about how my thing of like, if I don't have the time to read a full chapter, then I don't read because my brain just doesn't do it. So I've been reading this like fanfic. I have like 3 chapters left, and then, you know, I told myself then I will start reading The Boston Girl again. So I'll have actual like reading updates then. But until then, you just get book updates because we went to Salem yesterday. We went to the Salem Witch Museum, and then we went to Ye Olde Pepper Company, which is the oldest candy store in America. And I did buy some candy and some truffles. They had 2 candies that were like one of the first commercially produced candies in the country. One of them is called Gibraltar's, which is sort of like a mint almost. And then the other one is like a molasses stick, which is essentially like a lollipop. So I haven't tried those yet. I will tell you what I think. But after that, we went to the Nathaniel Hawthorn / House of the Seven Gables museum, which was really interesting. I haven't read House of the Seven Gables yet, but I did buy it. Because we had some time to kill, so we went to the gift shop before the tour. So I bought this book, which I think is really cool that it actually has a stamp saying that I bought it at the House of the Seven Gables. So for people who don't know, the House of the Seven Gables is about a couple generations in this family that own the house who are cursed because one of them pretty much accused the person who owned the land the house is built on, accused that person of being a witch in the Salem witch trials, which led to them dying. And so that this person from the family could buy the land and build the house. But as a result of getting it through nefarious means, the family is cursed. And so it's all about that family and what they experience. And so I thought it was really interesting. I really enjoyed the tour and learning more about the house and just the area, as well as like the architecture of the house and how many changes it went through. So I thought that was really cool. I'm actually really excited to read it. Also at the museum gift shop, I bought Seafaring Women by David Cordingly. And this is pretty much all about like women who have been on ships, whether because they're pirates or because they're wives of captains or they're stowaways or something. Like, I just thought it was it was really interesting. And if you've watched all my videos, you'll have seen that I buy books about sailing and pirates and the ocean and stuff like that, and I buy these and a lot of them don't have a lot of women in them. And so when I saw that, I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to, you know, have something about that, because if I'm gonna read books about pirates, I have to read books about female pirates as well, as well as other women who have been on the ocean. So that's about it. That's all I have. We're getting ready to go to breakfast, and then we're gonna go to Thatcher Island, which is an island with 2 lighthouses on it, about 3 miles off the coast. So I hope you enjoyed all the random clips from the past 2 days, and I hope you're ready for more. And hopefully next time you see me, it will be with a reading update and not just a book haul. But you know what? Book hauls are good too. So I actually have a reading update now. Today is our last day in Massachusetts, unfortunately. I've had a really good time. Right now I'm currently like looking right at the ocean, and I'm gonna flip the camera around so you can see. So that's my view from our bedroom. Highly enjoy it. So, like I said, I have a reading update. I actually finished reading The Boston Girl by Anita Diamant Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night. So I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars because, like I said before, I had read it originally like 6 years ago. It was right around the time that I was in the process of converting. I know that I had read it by the time I finished converting. So it had to be like 6-ish years ago. I enjoyed it. I just wish that the story is about a woman named Addie Baum who is reflecting on her life to her granddaughter. So she's reflecting in like, I think it's like 85, and she's like 87 years old. And she's talking about like 1914 is when it starts. And so it talks a lot about like her family, and she has 2 sisters, and her parents like don't really have a happy marriage, and what it's like to grow up as an American citizen when the rest of her family are immigrants. And then it continues on, and so we get like a good amount of detail from like 1914 to like, I want to say like 1926, and then after that it's just like, okay, and it's done. And so it's just like there's little bits and pieces. I don't know, it just felt a little jarring sometimes that like we get so much detail and description in certain parts and then not in others. So I thought that was a little just a little off-putting, but I still really enjoyed it. I still wrote down some good questions for the book club because we're meeting Monday to talk about this book, which is the whole reason I had to read it first. I was going to start reading the Annotated Hobbit yesterday, but we ended up just like walking around, you know, going to look at the ocean. I'm sure I've included many clips of the ocean. I feel really at peace here. Like, this is somewhere that like my family has lived for about 400 years. I've traced it back, and they only left in like the 1970s. And so I feel this like kinship, I guess, with this area. So I feel very at peace, and I don't want to leave. But I took lots of videos so that I remember it, and I'm hoping I can come back soon. But I don't know, I honestly don't think I'm gonna read today, just because in a little bit we're gonna go bowling. We're gonna do candlepin bowling, which is very different and it's very hard. And we're going because my husband is convinced that he can beat the rest of us at candlepin bowling, so we'll see. And then we're going to go have lunch with my dad's aunt, and then we're going to go to the Beauport Sleeper McCann house, which is this like, I don't know if mansion is the right word, but it's close. This like really nice house that one of the people who owned it, I want to say it was Sleeper. Maybe it was McCann. I don't know. One of the owners was like a really like sought after like interior designer in like the 1930s. And he actually was friends and possibly in a polycule with John Hammond Jr., which is, we went to Hammond Castle on Sunday. So I'm really hoping that I can, and I mentioned wanting to find like more sources about like Hammond being possibly queer and polyamorous, and so I'm hoping I can find more information about that at the Sleeper McCann house. But I'm really excited. I'm also really bummed because I was talking to the tour guide from the Hammond Castle during this whole conversation, and they mentioned that the Sleeper McCann house has a pride tour, and I had to tell them, I was like, I know, I tried to get it, but they're not doing any pride tours this week, so we're doing what's called the Nooks and Crannies tour. So It's a little more in depth, but I really wanted the Pride tour. But they're just not doing it this week, which I don't understand. But yeah, so that should be fun. And then after that, we're going to my favorite restaurant out here, which, like, restaurant is a loose word. It's called the Lobster Pool. And they serve food, but they also, like, one of the main reasons it's my favorite is because it's not even a patio. Backyard, I guess, is, like, on these cliffs over the ocean, and it's a really gorgeous view and a place to have dinner. So we're going there for our last meal in Massachusetts tonight. And then we're going to the airport at like 4 a.m. tomorrow, which I'm not looking forward to. I'm going to try to read on the plane, but it's so early that I feel like I might just fall asleep. We'll see. If anything, I might take a nap tomorrow and I will start reading. I don't know if I'm gonna read the Annotated Hobbit. I feel like I'm procrastinating on it. I might ask Siri to pick a book again, because it's gonna be, what, the 10th? Yeah, it's gonna be the 10th tomorrow, and I'm losing days. I need some quick reads. Maybe I'll try to break down how many pages of The Hobbit I need to read a day, because, like, it is The Hobbit, which I really enjoy reading, but because it's annotated, I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to when I did the annotated Christmas Carol, which, like, I can read the Christmas Carol. I could knock it out. But with all the information, all the annotations, all the background and biography information, it took me so much longer because it's more like a nonfiction. So maybe I'll just have to do it that way. We'll see. I'll think about it. But yeah, that's my update. I also wanted to give a shout out and thank Charmaine's Staycation. She gave me a really lovely shout out in her own channel on the Feel Good Fridays episode, and I really appreciate it, and that made me feel like really warm and fuzzy, and that, you know, I'm making people happy with my content, because I am really trying to share my experiences and also do it in a way that's entertaining, and I'm hoping to bring more content besides vlogs coming up. But I just want to say thank you, Charmaine, and definitely go check out her channel. It's super fun. She does a lot of different unboxings, which, like, I really enjoy. So just thank you so much. Hi everyone. So I am back home. I'm sitting in a different location in my living room, so it looks like just an empty wall. But I'm back home now. We woke up at like 3 a.m. Eastern time, which is 2 a.m. my usual time. Went to the airport in Boston. Our flight left at 8 a.m. We got back to Chicago at like 10:30 Central Time. And then we had to drive an hour and a half home. So we got home around noon. In the meantime, I had another car issue. I'm honestly to the point where, like, if I didn't need a car to commute to work, I would just throw my car in the river or something. Obviously not, because that's not environmentally safe. But I would just get rid of cars, because, like, in the past 3 months, we've had, 4 separate car issues now. And so it's just getting, like, really frustrating. And I'm just really over it. But I was originally going to read today, because I'm like, oh, I'll get home at like noon. I'll have all this time. No, I took a 3-hour nap because I've been awake since 2 a.m. My ability to overestimate what I can do astounds me. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, of course I can do this. And then my body's like, what are you doing? Why would you think that? So I didn't read. I read I started reading the Annotated Hobbit. I read about 15 pages before I ended up falling asleep on the plane. Because it is nonfiction. Especially like the intro part. Like that's all nonfiction. It's all about Tolkien and his life and stuff, which is really interesting. I'm learning new things about him, but still not fiction. Still not the best thing to read when you've been awake since 2 a.m. Okay, change position so it's not so wobbly. I can't really give you much detail about the Annotated Hobbit because, like I said, I'm only like 15 pages in. I think what I'm going to try to do, though, is read like 20 pages a day instead of just like power through the whole thing, because I just don't think I can do that, and I think it's going to really slow down my reading if I try. So once I read 20 pages a day, I will pick up another book from my TBR. So, and tomorrow I get to listen again to Here All Along, which I'm really happy about, and I should finish sometime in the next vlog. Other than that, I only bought one more book before we left Massachusetts, which is called, I believe it's called the Beauport Chronicle. So yesterday, which was Friday, we went to Beauport Sleeper McCann House in Gloucester, Massachusetts. So it's another like fancy schmancy house. It was a summer cottage. Well, cottage. Started out as a cottage and expanded very quickly. Used by Henry Sleeper, who was an interior designer in like the 30s to 50s. He was, I don't know if openly gay is accurate, but he was a gay man. He never married, never had kids. There are, I'll say rumors, because I'm not sure if it's super confirmed, but from everything I've learned, which is not a lot, everything I've learned, it's fairly confirmed, that he was in a relationship with like some close friends of his that lived in Gloucester as well, including possibly John Hammond Jr. from the Hammond Castle that I went to Sunday. So I was really interested in that when we went to Hammond Castle, and so even though we went on the tour at the Sleeper McCann house, we went on like the Nooks and Crannies tour, so we were able to go into every room. It was 2.5 hours long. It's a lot of walking. But they have a Pride tour, but it wasn't available the week we were there. But I asked our tour guide afterwards, I'm like, hey, this is the tour I was actually really interested in. Do you have any like books or anything in the gift shop that sort of talk about Sleeper's life as a gay man? Because I found myself really inspired by touring the house, and so I had some possible writing ideas. And so she recommended the Beauport Chronicle. So unfortunately, the letters that were, so pretty much the Beauport Chronicle is letters that Sleeper sent to his close friend, Piet Andrew, who actually had a summer home 2 doors down, and we actually drove past it. And so unfortunately, after Sleeper died, all of like his like ledgers and letters and other sort of documents were like burned by a relative, presumably because, you know, some of them were rather revealing. But we do have the letters that Sleeper sent to Piet Andrew. So I'm hoping to read that at some point. It looks really interesting, and who knows, maybe I'll write a little something, maybe. But yeah, other than that, I'm not gonna get up to grab the books, even though they're literally like across the house. So when I got home, just another sort of book update, I received the book that I pre-ordered, Pageboy by Elliot Page. So that's exciting. I'm just gonna add it to my list and hopefully get to read it soon. So that's all my bookish updates in the midst of my travel vlog. I have no idea what I'm gonna title this on YouTube, because all my updates were book related, but most of it was travel. So who knows? But I am going to end it here. I'm going to start next week's vlog tomorrow because I'm just not going to read today. So I hope you all enjoyed getting to see what Massachusetts is like in early June. It's unpredictable. That's what it's like, because literally the day before we got there and today were gorgeous in Massachusetts. And it was really nice, like, half of the days that we were there. But the day that, like, last Saturday and then Sunday and then into Monday were, like, in the 50s and raining. So it's just very unpredictable. But I had a really good time. I hope that you guys got to see how gorgeous it was on the coast and in Gloucester and Salem. And let me know if you've ever visited that area and if you have things that you enjoy, because I am fully planning on going back, at least within the next couple of years, because I do feel really at peace there. So if you've ever been to Rockport or Gloucester or Salem and there are things that you enjoy that I didn't do, like, definitely drop a comment and let me know, because I'm already building my list for next time I go there, because I need more lobster rolls. So I had about 7 while I was there. So leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. And I will talk to you guys more next week when I read way more than I did this week. Bye.